Mike Macdonald's new coaching staff in Seattle is officially set. Welcome in to this edition of Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. On today's show, we are going to go over the full staff, all 23 members of the brand new coaching staff for Seattle, and I'm also going to give out grades as well. We got an overall grade for the staff as a whole, and then each coordinator, we will give a grade for their hirings coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we get to that, though, want to make sure that you guys are subscribed to Seahawks Today for the latest happenings on your favorite team as we bring you daily news and rumors. We're doing live shows once a week as well. Anytime the Seahawks make a move this offseason, whether it's in free agency, trades, the draft, whatever it may be, we're going to make videos as quick as we can to give you the latest happenings on your Seattle Seahawks to make sure you are covered. And we have a new sub-battle here at Seahawks Today. We are trying to catch up with our Chiefs channel in subscribers, and we're making significant progress. We're putting a dent there on little Jace Andrews and showing him who's boss. As you can see, we're getting very close. We're making significant progress. We are not slowing down until we pass up the Chiefs report in subscribers. So join the family. Let's stick it to the Super Bowl champions. Subscribe now for free, and we'll get started with today's show. All right, let's go through the coaching staff one by one. Mike Macdonald is the new head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, and the rest of the staff, well, it all goes from there. Leslie Frazier was Mike Macdonald's first hiring, as he is the Seahawks' assistant head coach, second in command, and this was a very good hiring for Mike Macdonald, somebody with head coaching experience that's been there, done that before, that's well-respected across the National Football League. His offensive coordinator he went with was Ryan Grubb, who had a brief stint with the Alabama Crimson Tide, prior to that with the Washington Huskies, and brings in an air raid offense to the NFL, which should be very, very exciting. More on Ryan Grubb coming up later. Grubb is bringing along with him Scott Huff as his offensive line coach. Scott Huff, highly regarded in the college football ranks as one of the best offensive line coaches in the country. His quarterback coach will be Charles London, who comes over from the Tennessee Titans, worked with the likes of Will Levis, Ryan Tannehill, Desmond Ridder, and Matt Ryan. Kennedy Polamalu will be the Seahawks running backs coach. He comes over from the Las Vegas Raiders, has a great track record of the running backs that he's worked with, from all the way back in the day of working with Reggie Bush and Lindell White in college to more recently working with Josh Jacobs, also worked with Maurice Jones-Drew and a number of other great running backs over the years. Frisman Jackson is the new Seahawks wide receiver coach, while Mack Brown is the tight ends coach. Not the North Carolina Mack Brown, by the way. That's the former NFL player, Mack Brown, taking that spot. The passing game coordinator position belongs to Jake Peetz, while the defensive coordinator spot goes to Aden Durde, and we'll have more on him coming up later. But interesting note, by the way, Durde says that you can just call him AD. That's his nickname. Maybe it's like Adrian Peterson, AD all day, but nonetheless, we'll talk about him coming up. Also, the special teams coordinator is Jay Harbaugh, widely regarded as the best special teams coordinator in all of college football, did an incredible job at Michigan, and now he separates from his dad, Jim. Did not follow him to the LA Chargers coaching staff, instead paving his own way in Seattle. Devin Fitzsimmons will be a special teams assistant coach, while Carl Scott is the only coach remaining on the Seahawks coaching staff from the previous Pete Carroll regime. He'll be a senior defensive analyst. The linebacker coach position goes to Kirk Olivadotti, who comes over from the Green Bay Packers. Some question marks on that hiring, considering how bad the Packers' defense was this past year. Josh Bynes, who recently retired from the National Football League, he gets the call to be a full-time head coach, as he'll be an assistant linebackers coach for the Seahawks. He played under Mike Macdonald in Baltimore. Jeff Howard will be the Seahawks defensive backs coach. Nick Perry, a defensive assistant. Meanwhile, also on the list, Justin Hines will be the Seahawks defensive line coach. Rob Price will be a defensive intern for Seattle. We're even covering the interns today here, folks. While Brendan Nugent will be the Seahawks' assistant offensive line coach. 3 more names also included on this list include Quinshawn Odom, who will be the Seahawks' offensive line quality control coordinator, as well as an offensive assistant. Chris Partridge, a partridge in a pear tree, will be the Seahawks' offensive outside linebackers coach. And then the last name on this list, Tyson Price, will be Seattle's assistant wide receivers coach. Now, we'll break some of these hirings down in just a moment, but my big takeaway from this staff is the balance. We see that there is coaches on this staff with a lot of experience, and then there's some up-and-coming coaches as well that have a bright future that are getting the chance to prove themselves. I like the balance here of a little bit of both, of experience, but also guys that have something to prove and that are rising stars in the coaching ranks as well. I got my grade I'll give you here in just a bit, but what I hear from you guys first, what would you grade the Seahawks' new coaching staff? A, B, C, D, or F? It's our pinned comment today. Weigh in, tell us what you think. Today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. Choose 2 or more players on any given category. Get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking strikeouts, hits, maybe it's basketball, you're talking points and rebounds. You can mix and match different leagues, the NFL and the NBA, MLB, NASCAR, golf, and more. I got my Rodriguez special here for you guys. Grayson Rodriguez of the Baltimore Orioles. They have more than 180.5 strikeouts this season, while Julio Rodriguez of your Seattle Mariners to have more than 168.5 hits. If I put $20 down and both these hit, we're making $100 on Prize Picks, folks. Play along with me. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out Prize Picks today. My overall grade for the Seahawks coaching staff, I give this an A-. It's a very, very good coaching staff. Is it perfect? No, but it's very, very good. The best hire for me, I think, was Jay Harbaugh. You look at what he did with his special teams unit at the University of Michigan. They were top 5 in special teams every year the last 5 seasons, and the way that they just dominated. And they used special teams to their advantage. It wasn't something that got in the way of wins, but only added to the teams that were there. I'm very excited about Jay Harbaugh, and I think he's got a bright future. And he's learned under his dad, Jim Harbaugh. He's learned under his uncle, John Harbaugh, as well. Comes from a great pedigree of coaches as well. Won a national championship this year with the Michigan Wolverines. I think Jay Harbaugh is the best hire here. But my grade, I give this an A+. I don't think you could have found a better special teams coordinator than Jay Harbaugh. Now, the tone setter for this coaching staff is going to be Leslie Frazier. I really like the Leslie Frazier hire. This is a veteran that's well-respected, well-liked among NFL circles, that has had success, that I think every time Leslie Frazier walks into a room, he demands respect. That's the type of person that Leslie Frazier is. And you look at what he's done. I mean, the guy's won a Super Bowl as an assistant coach. He's been a head coach before, as we mentioned, with the Minnesota Vikings. Been a long-time defensive coordinator in this league. As Mike Macdonald's learning how to be a head coach and how this whole ordeal works, not only do you have a guy in Leslie Frazier that I would say is able to be in a position where you can trust him, but also a position where you can fall back on him as well, where you can say, hey, are we doing this right? Should we do this differently? And trust his opinion on those things. I give the Frazier hire an A. To me, it's a no-brainer. When they decided that he was going to be the first coach they hired, I mean, it made a ton of sense for Seattle to do so. Who was the best coaching hire for the Seattle Seahawks? I think it's Jay Harbaugh, but there's a number of directions you could go. Weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think was the best staff hire. The most exciting hire for me is going with Ryan Grubb, the former offensive coordinator for Alabama and the Washington Huskies. And it's just a 180 offensively, right? We got so sick and tired of what we saw from this Shane Waldron offense over the last couple of years, and Pete Carroll holding Shane Waldron back to what he could really do and accomplish with this offense. Now you go bring in Ryan Grubb, who runs this air raid scheme, which is going to be a total 180 from the Seahawks offense we've seen over the last couple of seasons. And whether it's Geno or another quarterback in this system, this is going to be a game changer. And I know some of you may be thinking, you run an air raid scheme, does that mean you're not going to run the football that much? And Ryan Grubb had a 1,000-yard rusher last year in Dylan Johnson. They're going to have balance. They'll run up-tempo at times, but they'll play complementary football as well. I give this an A-. The only reason why it's an A- for me as opposed to an A, just because the lack of NFL experience. There's going to be some adjusting, some adapting for Ryan Grubb to learn how the NFL world works. It is a lot different from the college football world, but nonetheless, I like the hire. It's just the what we're about to see here. To me, it's going to be very fascinating how this all unfolds. The great unknown of these hires for me is Aden Durde, who steps in as the Seahawks defensive coordinator. Now, he won't be calling plays. That job will belong to Mike Macdonald. But who is Aden Durde? How good of a coach is he actually? Because this is going to be the first time in his NFL coaching career where he is not going to be under Dan Quinn. Whether it was with the Atlanta Falcons or with the Dallas Cowboys, Aden Durde was right there next to Dan Quinn and was Dan Quinn's right-hand man. So I finally get to see for myself how good of a coach Aden Durde actually is. We just really don't know. And then, like, schematically, it's going to be a bit of a changeover because he comes from a base 4-3 defense in Dallas to what Mike Macdonald's going to run here in Seattle of a base 3-4 defense. And so that's certainly going to change some things. I give it a B just because the question marks that persist there, as well as just the never being a coordinator before. But nonetheless, you could have done a whole lot worse than that. So I'll give it a B on this. Who was the worst hiring that the Seahawks made? Of those 23 assistant coaches, weigh in the comment section. Let us know what you think. Appreciate you joining us here on the channel today. Subscribe now for the latest happenings in your Seattle Seahawks, and we'll see you next time.